Well, this is not at all how I wanted to start my day or the new year or really any day or any year, but you know, 2025 is supposed to be the year of good things, the year where we start to kind of right the ship, and we're off to a terrible fucking start. Uh, I tend to make these videos and then we'll try to do at least one a day because I usually only make one or two a day, and then but I want to have like a consistent kind of upload thing. So if I make two in a day or three in a day, then I'll have them set up, which I haven't done in a while because you'll see haven't done that many, but like I'll have it set so they go live at noon. Like I'll upload one and I'll just throw it up and have it go live at noon, and then the next one I'll have set for the next day to go live at noon. Like I've got one coming up today at noon, covering some clickbaity Lily Phillips drama. But no, this one's just going to go straight up. Uh, yeah, I've not been a happy camper for at least for like the last week. It all kind of started with the H-1B debate and like the whole deport Vivek thing. Like I'm not a fan of that, and it's just the way that like what turned into what started out as just a spirited debate within our coalition has turned into like just a giant horseshit, bad faith, like mudslinging, thing going on, and I'm not happy about it. And then to top all that shit off, this happens. Like I'm not even gonna make a thumbnail for this one because I don't think like um I don't think it's necessary. Like I kind of don't want to make light of this, not necessarily, but if you don't read the news or whatever, there was a terror attack last night at New Year's Eve. Um, at the big New Year's Eve party in New Orleans. Um, you know, 10 people were killed, 35 were injured. I mean, if you're reading the screen, again, I'm reading a New York Post article. New Year's terror attack kills 10 people, injures 35 after killer rammed revelers on Bourbon Street in New Orleans and opened fire. So the interesting thing about this, and Jack Posobiec has pointed this out over on X, is that we really don't know much about the guy, like who it was. We don't like really, you know, we don't know much about him. Uh, like his name, his race, his immigration status, if that even matters. Like, is he a citizen? Is he not a citizen? Inquiring minds would like to know. So yeah, let's read the article, shall we? At least 10 people were killed and a dozen injured after a terrorist ran a truck into crowds on the famed Bourbon Street in New Orleans before jumping out and shooting cops, just hours after the city rang in the new year, according to officials. Quote, the city of New Orleans was impacted by a terrorist attack, Mayor Latoya Cantrell said of the carnage early Wednesday, with the FBI soon confirming it was investigating it as an act of terrorism. The unidentified driver, who police said was hell-bent on carnage, was shot and killed in a gun battle with cops, confirmed the FBI, which was also investigating possibly improvised explosives left at the scene. 2 cops shot in the gun battle were listed as in stable condition, police said. Photos of the scene show a white pickup truck with Texas plates crashed into a crane with a black object attached to a flagpole at the back. Hmm. Truck came from Texas. Illegal border crosser? Maybe. The mass casualty incident unfolded at the intersection of Bourbon and Canal Streets in the French Quarter neighborhood around 3:15 a.m., close to where revelers had gathered to watch the city's New Year's Eve fireworks, and just hours before the highly anticipated Sugar Bowl college football playoff game, police said. Yeah, it's like I said, it's pretty heavy, and the cunt used an F-150. Of course he did. Had to use America's truck. Unfortunate. 10 people were killed, and at least 35 others were hospitalized after the male driver intentionally drove through barricades and plowed down the street at a very fast pace, according to New Orleans Police Chief Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick. Quote, this man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could, Kirkpatrick said, adding the driver, quote, was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did. Yeah, I'm really looking for a profile on this guy. If one comes up, I'll do another video about it. But like I said, it's interesting that nothing's come out of it. So the suspect then jumped out of the vehicle and immediately started shooting at cops, injuring at least 2 officers, she added, noting officers returned fire. Explosives were also found at the scene. The FBI said investigators were probing the bloodshed, or were probing the bloodshed as an act of terrorism. Quote, this morning, an individual drove a car into a crowd of people on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, killing a number of people and injuring dozens of others, the Bureau said in a statement. Quote, the subject then engaged with local law enforcement and is now deceased. The FBI is the lead investigative agency, and we are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of terrorism. Of course, he was in a Texas vehicle, likely was either not a citizen or was a citizen of another state, so this falls under the FBI jurisdiction. Althea Duncan, an assistant special agent in charge of the FBI's New Orleans field office, said officials were currently examining at least one suspected improvised explosive device uncovered at the scene. It wasn't immediately confirmed if the device was linked to the driver. I mean, it's likely that they are linked. I mean, you know, what are the odds that like a guy does a truck attack at the same time that somebody else has happened to plant bombs, you know? Unverified video circulating on social media apparently showed scores of bloodied bodies lining the streets as gunshots rang out. Several EMS and coroner vehicles could be seen on the scene in the aftermath. The injured were all rushed to 5 nearby hospitals, including University Medical Center, Toro Hospital, and East Jefferson General Hospital, officials said. The extent of the injuries of those hospitalized wasn't immediately known. Quote, a horrific act of violence took place on Bourbon Street earlier this morning, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry said in a statement. Quote, please join Sharon and I in praying for all the victims and first responders on scene. I urge all near the scene to avoid the area. The White House said President Joe Biden had been briefed on the carnage. You know, I'm sure they had to do it with like a PowerPoint presentation that was, you know, made in Microsoft Paint, real bright, colorful images with simple concepts for his senile old ass to understand. The FBI is already on the ground supporting local law enforcement in the investigation, and the president will continue to be briefed throughout the day, White House said in a statement. The bloodshed unfolded toward the end of the New Year's celebrations and just hours before the kickoff of the college football playoff Sugar Bowl between Georgia and Notre Dame. I almost said Notre Dame, but no, the American school calls itself Notre Dame. At the Caesars Superdome. Horrified witnesses have since given harrowing accounts of the twisted and horribly disfigured bodies they saw in the immediate aftermath. Jimmy Cothran, who sought cover in a nightclub as the chaos erupted, told NBC News he counted 8 bodies sprawled out on the street after the truck tore through. Quote, dead right in front of us was someone's mother, twisted, obviously deceased, he said. Quote, one man, deceased, had tire tracks across his back, and when someone turned him over, he had tire tracks across his stomach and was clearly crushed. A little girl that we had seen dancing as we were walking up the street was as flat as a pillow, he continued. Oh, that's nice. That's horrifying. It just kept going. Every eye shot, body, 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 body. It was unbelievable. Meanwhile, Jim and Nicole Mower, who were in town from Iowa, told CBS News they had earlier watched the city's fireworks display before they suddenly heard crashing noises and spotted the truck plowing down the street at a high rate of speed. The couple said they immediately tried to help several victims but realized they were already dead. Quote, we were pretty close to where it started, Nicole said. Once it was past us, we did hear gunfire, saw police running that direction, she continued. Once the gunfire stopped, we stayed in the alcove until the gunfire stopped. Came out onto the street and came across several people who had been hit. We wanted to see what we could do to help. Another witness, Whit Davis, told CNN he was leaving a nightclub at the time of the attack. Quote, everyone started yelling and screaming and running to the back, and then we basically went into lockdown for a little bit, and then it calmed down, but they wouldn't let us leave, Davis said. When they finally let us out of the club, police waved us where to walk, and were telling us to get out of the area fast. I saw a few dead bodies they couldn't even cover up, and tons of people receiving first aid. So, yep, not it was not a good New Year's Eve for New Orleansers, New Orleansians. I don't know how you'd say that. Horrible stuff. Horrible stuff. Like I said, it's good that they got the guy. It's good that he's dead. He deserves it, and hopefully we get a profile on him. Uh, hopefully we get like some kind of information. I want to know more about who this guy was. I want his name. I want to know where he came from. And there's a lot of people we don't publish, think that you shouldn't publish the name of killers, but I think it's necessary information. But yeah, hopefully they find out who it was. Shitty way to start the year.